My name's Ben Wood. Behind me is beautiful Moreton Bay. Moreton Bay Marine Park is a real treasure to Australia because of its pristine waters. Whales, dugongs and turtles, as well as other marine life, treasures to me and you. But Moreton Bay is in danger due to terrestrial influences such as sewage and runoff. We're going to take a tour from the mouth of the Brisbane River to its source. Here we have Moreton Bay Marine Park. Very nearby is the mouth of the Brisbane River, which discharges directly into Moreton Bay. Before settlement around the Brisbane River, there was a large sandbank around the river mouth. This restricted the water currents in and out of the river itself. Once this was removed, larger amounts of water at a higher rate were allowed into the river. This encouraged erosion and movement of particulate matter into the bay. As you can see here, we have a large sewage plant. In an event of heavy rain, large amounts of untreated sewage will be discharged directly into the Brisbane River and ultimately into the Moreton Bay. This is the Port of Brisbane. Large ships come here from all over the world and discharge large amounts of ballast water. This water may contain foreign animals from all over the world. As you can see, Brisbane is very highly populated. This means that large amounts of sewage and stormwater runoff are produced from this city. As we move up the Brisbane River, the population becomes less dense. Eventually we can even see small amounts of forest and natural habitats. As we travel up the Brisbane River, we can find more agricultural areas. These still contain large amounts of nutrients because of cows and other such animals which are farmed. Up towards the head of the Brisbane River, we can find some farms. These have large areas of bare soil which can be carried off with heavy rains. Along with the soil, the rain carries fertilizer, which is nutrients, as well as pesticides, which kills fish, along with heavy metals. Some are very close to the river. This means that when they are ploughed, it is very easy for particulate matter to end up in the river. When I was in grade 9, I did an experiment demonstrating just this. As we can see here in the experiment, as bare soil is drenched with water, a large amount of sediment is allowed to flow through and ultimately into the glass, which represents the river. As we have small amount of bare soil and large amount of natural vegetation, only a small amount of soil ends up in the glass. We finally come to the source of the Brisbane River. These large dams are surrounded by pastures which contain cows. These cows produce nutrients which may end up in the river. We're here at the Bribey facility with Mr. Trevor Burchett to understand how to measure turbidity in water.
Yes, hello. To measure turbidity in the water, we use a Secchi disc. This is a graduated marker of 10 centimetres, goes up to 1 metre. It's got a round disc here with black and white triangles on it. To measure the turbidity, we place it into the pond like this. We twirl it around and slowly put it into the water that way. And as soon as we cannot see the white and the black together, we take it off the reading there. So we go 10, 20, 30, 40. So this pond here has a turbidity or Secchi reading of 40.
We have here Katriana, who works at the Water Quality Lab. Can you please explain to us how you measure suspended solids?
Well, suspended solids is a simple method where we filter the water sample through a glass fibre filter, which we've already pre-weighed. Then we dry it in the oven and reweigh it, and the difference, of course, is the suspended solids in that sample.
And how do we measure the total nitrogen and total phosphorus?
Well, we take the water sample and we digest it with acid at high temperature, which breaks down all the chemical bonds. And then we run it through our flow injection analyzer, which basically introduces the reagents that make a colour reaction, which we then measure on a photometer, and then we compare that reading with the known standards. Each of these channels is for a different analyte, such as phosphorus or nitrogen, and these tubes introduce the reagents that make the colour reaction, and then it's read here on the photometer, and then we compare that with our standards.
Thank you. Each state marine park has a zoning plan which describes how each zone can be used. Moreton Bay Marine Park has 5 zones and 6 designated areas. These include general use zones, habitat zones, conservation zones, buffer zones, protection zones, designated areas include turtle and dugong areas. These help conserve sea turtles and dugong population by protecting them from injury and death caused by vehicles and reducing seagrass bed damage. State marine parks are managed jointly by Queensland State Parks and Wildlife Service and the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. State parks include the Great Barrier Reef, Hervey Bay, and Moreton Bay. Prime responsibility for these areas and management lies with Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service. Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service staff work in cooperation with community rangers. Rangers monitor resources and interact with the public. They provide education, surveillance, and enforcement of laws. The micro issues within the Bay Area include bait gathering, jet skis, domestic animals and boats. You can become involved too in marine park protection. Further details, please consult the EPA website.